All right, welcome to Ready23. My name is Dave Sehnert. I am your host for our next event here, and that is navigating the unique challenges in responding to highway emergencies. I'm thrilled to have an excellent set of panelists with me today. We are going to cover a lot of great materials, but before we dive into that, let me just give you a little bit more information about Ready23. It's hosted by RapidSOS, and if you're not familiar with RapidSOS, it's an intelligent safety platform that securely links the life-saving data to monitoring centers, 911, and first responders during emergencies. At Ready23, we are here to foster a sense of unity and shared purpose amongst all of the stakeholders in the emergency response ecosystem. We feel it's our duty, and we're thrilled to have the partnerships that we have across this space. This event is really an opportunity to connect and collaborate, to analyze and just really dive deep into public safety, the challenges that are there, emergency response, and how we can improve upon those situations that occur daily based on the information and capabilities that we have across our partnerships. So today I'm joined by a panel of experts from within the business and public sector communities. These folks are Alex Schoeneberger, who's Director of Product Management at SiriusXM Connected Vehicles, Hannah Surabhi, who is the Chief Operating Officer at Quin Design, and Jimmy Kitchens, 911 Business Administrator for the Kentucky State Police. Panelists, I'm going to ask you if you could please introduce each of yourselves, shed some light on why you're here to talk about emergency response. So let's start with Alex, followed by Hannah, and then last but not least, Jimmy will be up after that.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, I'm Alex Schoenberger. I'm Director of Product over Safety and Security Products at SiriusXM Connected Vehicle. We have been in business for over 30 years supporting automatic collision notification, SOS button press, and other safety, security, and convenience connected vehicle features.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. And Hannah?
Hey everyone, I'm Hannah Surabhi. I work at Quin Design as introduced, and we specialize in event detection technologies that are embedded in other safety gear. So primarily helmets, but we also do different vehicle integrations and more. So we've got really specialized systems for event detection of different variety and the response systems, and in particular focusing on a very consumer-centric approach and putting data in the hands of those who can do the most with it. So we've got different applications for different sort of sports and anything for people in motion.
Fantastic. And Jimmy?
My name is Jimmy Kitchens. I am the 911 Business Administrator and Executive Staff Advisor with Kentucky State Police, and I oversee the 911 operations of the Kentucky State Police Post.
Excellent. Really appreciate all of you participating in this panel today. We're going to have a great discussion, so let's just dive right in. And actually, let me just orient the audience too. So this discussion is really going to be centered around how data and automation are driving efficiencies in emergency response, and then also what considerations need to be made when supporting the people during these potential life and death situations. So with that, I'll start with Alex and Hannah. If you could please elaborate on how safety fits into your company's mission and why it's a priority in today's world.
Yeah, absolutely. So automotive safety is core to our business. It's our most important product. We've been providing automatic collision notification and SOS button press since the mid-1990s. We do that for 15 automakers today in a white label way. So we are not the brand name. The manufacturer's brand name is what they go out underneath. But we support Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Alfa Romeo, Nissan Infiniti, and several others. For a long time, the industry as a whole was kind of geared towards just providing voice calls, and you would get a little bit of data in the SIP header, and that would be about it. As technology has evolved, we've always wanted to provide more data to 911. There's a lot of data available in the vehicle, and that's why we built ACN Plus to be able to provide that data. And that's why we partner with RapidSOS to get that data out to 911 centers.
Excellent. Thank you. Hannah.
Yeah. For us at Quin, safety is really the core of everything that we do. It's why we exist. So it was really born out of professional expertise and experience, but really also individual experiences. So all of the founding team have got a background in something to do with safety, whether that's inventing safety products, medical devices, rescue drones, things like that, or building safety systems that respond to issues like sex trafficking and domestic violence. So it's really the core soul and the heartbeat of what we do. And I think, of course, nothing really matters more to society than protecting human life, prolonging human life. And I think, of course, with the current crises that we're seeing around the world, we all understand that that is really a core focus and point of importance for us as a global community. And we've got we do a lot of like performance analytics. So for cyclists, motorcyclists, analyzing the ride, but we always tell our clients who license our technology, because we're an ingredient brand for a lot of others, we think safety is sexy. Not everybody does. A lot of people are after different types of data analytics, but it's certainly what drives us and what excites us to wake up every day.
That's fantastic. When I saw the announcement of our partnership, quite frankly, I had not heard of Quin Designs at that time. But when I started looking into it, it just fascinated me and it just makes total sense. So I'm really excited to have you on this panel. I think that provide some really great insights to the challenges that Quin is solving for emergency response in this partnership that we have. So thank you. Jimmy, could you describe how collaboration between the public and private partners is transforming emergency response from your perspective?
Yeah, so obviously it gives us more tools in our, in our bag of arsenal as far as what we can utilize to track callers. For us, with being the state police, we kind of have, a statewide jurisdiction. So some of that's very urban, some of it's very rural. With that being said, a lot of people are just passing through, so they don't know where they are. And utilizing the relationships between public and private sector, sometimes we're able to take a deeper dive, I guess, into locating a caller and getting them emergency response faster than, previous traditional methods.
Great. Now, Hannah, could you provide some insights on the specific advantages of this partnership that it brings to your organization?
Yeah, happy to. So as I said, safety is at the focus of everything that we do. Our mission is to provide life-saving safety essentials, is what we call it, to people who are in motion, focusing initially with anybody who wears a helmet, and no matter what they ride, whether that be motorcycle, a horse, or snowboard, or anything else. And we're really consumer centric, as I said, in all that we do. And our business model depends on the end user actually paying for additional features and services through the Quin app. And to convince our clients and consumers to use Quin, we have to be really good at answering the what ifs. What if I crash? What if no one's around? What if nobody finds me? What if they don't know who I am when they find me? What if I fall unconscious or have concussion? And what if I don't have any reliable personal emergency contacts? There's a lot of questions that we get asked. And we show up at all the trade shows at some point or another to get asked those questions directly and learn what consumers have to ask. But we've got several different features within our product that address those common concerns, and our partnership with RapidSOS helps us answer these with peace of mind, and that's the biggest value proposition. One thing that everybody, I think, understands is the value of time, and in particular with emergency situations, the value of time savings, of time saved in an accident or an emergency. So by offering a rapid response, and this one highlight of what RapidSOS brings to this partnership, that feature is something that when we talk to people about it, everybody understands it. So there's really three core kind of areas of value that we push through its value proposition via RapidSOS. One is time. So time saved matters the most. Everybody, I think, gets that. The other is relevance or quality. So ensuring that you have an appropriate, skilled, and well-resourced person responding. Quin for a long time relied upon personal or emergency contacts to respond to different events through our automations, which is nice, but it's not nearly as good as having someone who has the training and the resources to respond adequately. And the third thing is really dependability. Making sure, because sometimes those who love us the most, who would be listed as an emergency contact, wouldn't be the most dependable. So my mom might love me more than anybody on earth, but she probably never answers a text message and takes a day to answer my phone calls. So RapidSOS offers us and our users dependability through connecting us with the public safety infrastructure. And so as an outcome and the advantage that we see through this partnership with RapidSOS, that definitely has helped us gain new customers. It has increased revenues through our in-app subscriptions. We see it driving customer loyalty because they've bought into, of course, that value proposition. We've got 3 different mobile applications in the market that serves as a companion to all the hardware that we have. We have a substantially above average subscription rate, which is great. And we really do believe that this is a value driver for us.
Fantastic. Yeah, I can only imagine if I was called upon from or alerted for an accident that my wife was in, that I would just be I'd be a hot mess arriving on scene. So getting the right people there and being able to affect that outcome immediately is incredibly powerful. And for that matter, it's got to be a great sense of relief for those that are notified of that event, that there's professionals arriving on scene.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. Alex, next question is for you. So have you received any specific testimonials or feedback regarding how the service has benefited your users?
Yeah, absolutely. So, similar to 911 centers, 911 call takers, when we get off the phone, we don't always hear the result of what actually happened with that scenario. But we do hear stories, and one of the most recent ones that stuck with me was Jake. Jake is a 18-year-old. He lives in Washington, and at night his vehicle went off a bridge. It landed in a field in a remote spot, and there's no way that without this service he would have been found until morning. Our agent spoke to or tried to make contact with him, and they were unable to reach him. He was unconscious. And they dispatched help to him. First responders arrived on scene, got him to the hospital. He went into surgery, and he heard from doctors afterwards that he would not have made it without our service. So, excuse me.
No, this is why we do what we do. It's these types of stories that have such an impact. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is why we do what we do. On a less teary note, we're in and out of 911 centers on a regular basis. We go to NENA and NAPCO at a national and state level, and what we hear over and over again from call takers is this data has an impact. This data helps calls run more efficiently, faster. This data helps dispatch the right resources right at the front instead of having somebody arrive on scene and realize that more is needed. So it's good to hear from everybody in the community, and it's good to hear from our customers and the success stories that we have these accident calls come in every day, and it's good to be able to save people.
Absolutely. Thank you for that story, Alex. That's it's inspiring, and it's like I said, it's why we show up every day and give it our best, and we put everything we can into the technology we have. We listen to our customer base. We understand when and where that information is going to be most impactful. And so actually with that, Jimmy, I'd love to take the next question to you. And if you could describe how your agency utilizes RapidSOS and the impact that you've seen on the communities across Kentucky.
Yeah, so again, with us being statewide, state police, we are also kind of unique in that we dispatch for local municipalities as well. So we have right now 18 different counties across the Commonwealth out of our 120 that we're taking 911 calls for. With that being said, utilizing, the RapidSOS platform, we deal with Fish and Wildlife and a bunch of other agencies, in over 300, in fact.
Wow.
And we've been able to find people on the water whenever a normal phase 2, phase 1 would not locate them, because of spotty cell coverage or something. So we're getting that information through the RapidSOS portal, through integrations, with our CAD or our telephony vendor, And when we received that information, we were able kind of, to what Ryan was saying earlier, it's putting the responders out ahead of it instead of them getting there and being like, oh, wait, now I need this, or I need these additional resources. Now we're able to get them out there ahead of time, and we have adequate resources in the initial response. So it is, I mean, in one case, similar to what he was saying, this was on the water, but we were able to get responders out there in a place that otherwise without RapidSOS, we would not have been able to do that.
Fantastic. Appreciate that story and just those types of situations. It's amazing how time has gone on, how, as a collective, this industry is just getting more and more tuned into what data we need at what time and how we can respond more efficiently. And that's what it's really all about. My next question for you, Hannah, is can you share with how other organizations can draw inspiration from this partnership, and what advice or insights would you provide to companies aiming to establish similar collaborations in the context of customer safety and well-being? And I think it'd be especially interesting from your point of view, from an entity that's growing in a very, very unique marketplace. And I can imagine that there's others out there that have aspirations but don't really know where to start.
Yeah, that's a good point. And somehow I feel like I restart at the starting point every so often as I keep learning. But so the answer, I think, in my view, is really in the question there, and that is really partnership. Because alone, there's only so far that we can go, and working in the spaces that impact human safety, excellence matters, which means that expertise matters and experience matters. And I have, a certain kind of background in working in safety systems and things like that, but it's very different, of course, than what somebody like Jimmy has to offer and to teach me. So to be successful in our business goals, and more importantly, to be effective in our mission to save lives, we need to build on the work of others. We need to collaborate, to learn from each other, to leverage what's already working in order to take it a step further, or to make it better, smarter, faster, and safer. And for any company looking to establish a similar partnership, I would say that they need to really lean into that learning curve. There are a lot of surprises as you unpack how things work in the real world, with real world emergencies and the existing architecture. And in my perspective, RapidSOS does a really good job bridging companies like Quin, which are focused on, the future and disruption, with the real world context, and the realities and the people that are relied on to actually respond to an emergency. I think it's difficult to build the future without those, without the endemic expertise, the in-house expertise. There's no replacement for that. So like my company would be data-driven, futuristic, and very future-focused, but it needs to be informed by those who've actually done the groundwork and know exactly how it operates today. Because companies like mine and most people who work for my company have like no idea otherwise. So I'm sure that there's stakeholders in public safety that get really frustrated with companies like Quin, that are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and they're fast-moving tech companies. They want to change everything overnight and see it happen our way, and all the data out there in the hands of everybody. But when dealing with safety and the well-being of real human lives, even incremental improvements can be game-changing. That for me was not an eye-opener, but something that I found really valuable to focus on, because we're in a space where seconds count and minutes count. So even if all of that, PSAP can digest as a name, vehicle information, event type, and location, every incremental improvement in the speed and the accuracy of that information has a human impact and a potential to reduce and mitigate injury and fatality. And that's massive. So I think tech companies like mine need to realize like marginal improvement is massively impactful in this space. In tech, sometimes it feels like you have to have a big disruptor, right? But when you're dealing with human lives and health and safety, sometimes incremental improvements mean a great deal. So I would just say that like the time that we product and tech companies spend listening and learning has the potential to make our product infinitely better, which is certainly a great motivator. And I wanted to kind of share an anecdote on this, that before my time with Quin, I helped build My Choices Foundation in India, which, as I mentioned earlier, addresses the prevention of sex trafficking and intervention of domestic violence. And one of the things that we did was build the Red Alert Helpline, which is the first to address the first national sex trafficking helpline in the country. So one opportunity I had was to actually sit in call centers that were run by government agencies and learn what it was like to receive these calls and all of that. And one thing really stuck out, one challenge that was very consistent, or let's say one issue that was very consistent and highly challenging, was when women in distress were calling for help from the road, but they couldn't stop. The best thing, the safest thing was to stay in motion. And they were relying on voice. So from the woman in distress on the road to the agent taking the call to the police, and then back in this relay race of how do you get and sort of triangulate assistance on the road while in motion. And although I've ridden motorcycles since I was a kid, and horses and all other kinds of things, and so my personal experience could have informed certain features, but because of my education in that call center, every single Quin product has a panic button that then broadcasts our SOS beacon with a live location. And so I think sometimes it's really simple interactions with people who have that expertise and the experience that give us the insights to create really intuitive and meaningful product. And of course, then build the stories that really sell that product and make it a no-brainer. So for those considering this kind of partnership, say partnership really leapfrogs success. It really helps if you lean into the learning curve, because there's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And as you know, my role at RapidSOS is leading on the partnership side for public safety. And it's absolutely an honor, because it's great to see all the different minds coming together to really solve problems. So I'm going to skip to our final question, because I want to make sure we have plenty of time to really explore this one. And Jimmy, I'm going to purposely put you at the end, just because there might be some items that Alex and Hannah bring up that may affect your response. So here it is. So with smart highways and intelligent transportation systems, these topics, they've been around for decades. And with the tech that's in hand today and the vehicles that are out there today, how do you envision that evolution of emergency detection and response technologies over the next decade, and what opportunities and challenges do you foresee? So really, it's that detection and response that I'm most curious of with what's out there today. So Alex, I'll start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, from a detection standpoint, you're seeing the vehicles already have all the sensors. You can only add so many sensors to a vehicle at this point, but the data coming off those sensors making its way all the way to 911 in all cases is important. Making sure that vehicles have consistency in their sensors is another aspect of that. But what you're also seeing is that now cell phones and watches and whatnot are also reporting crashes. And so as you gather all this data, I think one of the most interesting things about the near-term future is that we're going to have data overload. We might already have it already. So if you think about the giant stack of data available to 911 and how you sift through all of that, there's going to need to be a focus towards prioritizing that data and consolidating it across calls and across devices. And I think that's the next biggest challenge for us.
Thank you for that, Alex. Hannah.
Yeah, this is a really broad question, and one that I'm super interested in hearing what everyone else says for sure. I think there are definitely big opportunities as well as challenges, and I think part of the role of other stakeholders is to sometimes create those challenges also in terms of a pushback. So what looks like a challenge for me as a tech company is sometimes it's the right one, right? So in terms of opportunities, of course, there's a lot of sensors within vehicles, especially four-wheel vehicles. I think as we're seeing a lot more in urban cities, bicycles are becoming more and more popular. Other ways to commute, which don't have those onboard sensors yet. We're working with a couple of companies that are looking at it. But there's definitely, of course, a lot of data available, and it will continue to expand from there. I think that one is that more accurate detection is a possibility, and it's a must. That's the thing that we really focus on ourselves, is a low false positive rate. And there are a lot of ways to go about this detection. Alex mentioned the apps that are capable of doing this in mobile phones, but the mechanism for detection is very different. And so what you're detecting, for example, even like Apple's crash detection is specifically for cars. So it's very different than being able to do it for motorcycles or another vehicle. I think we've got a long way to go to reduce the incident rate. It can be lower and reduce false positives. I think that hopefully that like a high definition clarity on event detection can also help, which means categorization of what the event is. Because I would assume, and Jimmy will of course weigh in on this, but I would assume there's quite a bit of difference between a highway crash, the rollover of an ATV down a cliff, or someone falling off and getting dragged by their horse. Of course, not all of those are highway events, but all constitute sort of emergencies that would need a response. And something that I broadly think of as like beyond the bang, right? So a lot of events happen where there's not like network coverage or good coverage. So having protocols that relay certain information, and then understanding that maybe not all events have the same response, but making sure that they do reach the same public safety architecture and have an opportunity to have a response. Of course, we, being a data-driven company, we love to have all the data and provide all the data, and we understand a lot of what's also available that we haven't seen any system across the world ingest yet, the multimedia. And in particular, I think one thing that's quite unique that we're excited about seeing is a continued relay of data. So getting it in hand of PSAPs and then responders, and beyond that, wherever the responder takes that person, right? So the hospital and the caretakers and the medical team. So Quin is capable of providing an accurate level of G-force that their head or helmet has experienced. And we'd like to see that data get in the hand of medical practitioners. We had a motorcycle rider 2 weeks ago tell us that he used that G-force and gave it to his doctor, and he got a CT scan, and it meant something to him, both his medical care as well as his decision to get a helmet replaced or not. But yeah. There's still, I think, additional data that could be utilized, could be useful. And really meaningful. And then of course, cities are really only as smart as the data they have access to. We want to see predictive analysis. We want to see roads, the way they're built, and intersections and things change. I don't want to eat up all the time here, but
yeah, I was just going to say, Hannah, I really appreciate that insight, but I want to give Jimmy a couple minutes here to wrap up this question for us. Thank you.
Yeah, so just to kind of hit off what Alex and both Hannah said, one of the things is just because you have a response doesn't mean it's the appropriate response. She's talking about an overturned vehicle on a highway versus someone who was fallen or, get kicked by a horse or something like that. Those are going to require different types of responses versus, the ATV or something that's gone down the ravine. So having that data, as Alex and his team knows, and, the 911 call takers, if the more data they have, the better the response that they can put together and send the appropriate resources out there on that initial response. You're never going to be always on the front end of an emergency because you can't predict when and where it's going to occur. But what you can do is try to have your resources available and take in that data to make a strategic decision to get the right resources sent. And that's where it's going to take data from Quin, from the sensors in the vehicles or whatever, from any resources in RapidSOS, and everybody kind of works together as a team. It's not just the police or the fire or the EMS or just Quin or anybody like that, or even just KSP as the PSAP or whoever it is, any PSAP. It's going to be everybody has to work together as the team, to protect life, property, and safety. And I think that's the goal of everybody here.
Yeah, I love that, Jimmy. I think of our role at RapidSOS and really all of us on this panel is listening to the users, listening to Jimmy, you and your team on what has been the most useful information and where should that data sit within a platform so that we can maximize those outcomes based on that, because we don't want to have data overload. We want to have the right data at the right time so we can get the right response. So with that, Alex, Hannah, Jimmy, I really sincerely thank you for generously with your time and your insights today. We're grateful to have you as part of the RapidSOS Ready family. So thank you once again. And should anyone have any questions, wish to connect, please feel free to reach out to me at DSEHNERT. That's Sehnert at rapidsos.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. But please enjoy the rest of this event. Get into that Whova platform and play in some of the quizzes and the tournaments and some of the feedback. There's a lot of great discussion going out there today, and absolutely enjoy the sessions. Thanks everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.